Harvey Weinstein's felony sex crime conviction overturned by NY's highest court after judge's critical error. Harvey Weinstein's New York rape conviction was overturned Thursday by New York State's highest court, which ordered that the disgraced Hollywood mogul should face a new trial. In a 4-3 ruling, the New York State Court of Appeals found that a Manhattan judge erroneously allowed testimony from 3 women whose allegations weren't connected to the case. The trial judge, James Burke, also compounded that error by ruling that the former Hollywood producer, if he chose to testify, could be grilled on the witness stand about those allegations, as well as numerous allegations of misconduct that portrayed defendant in a highly prejudicial light. The remedy for these egregious errors is a new trial, the appeals court said. The court was looking to see whether allowing the other women to testify would be valuable for jurors to understand Weinstein's intent to carry out the crime, something Weinstein's lawyer said would unfairly prejudice the jury. Weinstein's lawyer, Arthur Aidala, told the New York Times that the decision was not just a victory for Mr. Weinstein, but for every criminal defendant in the state of New York, and we compliment the Court of Appeals for upholding the most basic principles that a criminal defendant should have in a trial. Weinstein, 72, has been serving a 23-year sentence in a New York prison following his conviction on charges of criminal sex act for forcibly performing oral sex on former Project Runway production assistant Miriam Mimi Haley in 2006 and raping hairstylist Jessica Mann in 2013. In spite of Thursday's decision, Weinstein will remain behind bars because he was separately sentenced in February 2023 to 16 years in prison in a Los Angeles criminal case for raping an Italian model. She testified that he threw himself onto her after appearing uninvited outside her hotel room during an Italian film festival there in 2013. He was acquitted of sexual battery by restraint of a Jane Doe 3, and the jury was hung on whether he was guilty of sexual battery by restraint of Jane Doe 2. Reps for Weinstein did not immediately respond to requests for comment. A spokesperson for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office told the Post, "We will do everything in our power to retry this case and remain steadfast in our commitment to survivors of sexual assault." In a scathing dissent, Judge Madeline Singas wrote that the majority was whitewashing the facts to conform to a he-said/she-said narrative, and that the appeals court was continuing a disturbing trend of overturning juries' guilty verdicts in cases involving sexual violence. The majority's determination perpetuates outdated notions of sexual violence and allows predators to escape accountability, Singas wrote. This conclusion deprives juries of the context necessary to do their work, forecloses the prosecution from using any essential tool to prove intent, ignores the nuances of how sexual violence is perpetrated and perceived, and demonstrates the majority's utter lack of understanding of the dynamics of sexual assault. "Because New York's women deserve better, I dissent," she concluded. The reversal of Weinstein's conviction is the second major setback to the #Me Too movement in the last 2 years, after the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear an appeal of a Pennsylvania court decision to throw out Bill Cosby's sexual assault conviction. Weinstein has vehemently maintained innocence despite the tidal wave of women, including famous actresses such as Ashley Judd and Uma Thurman, who came forward with allegations about the studio boss behind Oscar winners such as Pulp Fiction and Shakespeare in Love. The one-time Hollywood power player, who is incarcerated in New York at the Mohawk Correctional Facility, about 100 miles northwest of Albany, insists that any sexual activity was consensual. The Court of Appeals agreed last year to take Weinstein's case after an intermediate appeals court upheld his conviction. Weinstein's lawyer, Aidala, told the Post at the time, "We will ask the Court of Appeals to remind trial courts throughout the state that a defendant cannot be tried based on his character, but must be tried based on the conduct for which he has been accused." The trial judge in Mr. Weinstein's case allowed evidence of misconduct, preventing him from testifying and asserting his innocence. A lower appellate court raised concerns about the judge's behavior, noting prejudicial testimony from additional witnesses. The judge's term expired, and he was not reappointed. Weinstein's lawyers appealed for a new trial on the criminal sexual act charge, as the rape charge exceeds the statute of limitations.
Start now by hitting the round subscribe icon so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.